years ago, it was just a few guys at a Starbucks, and today there are over 400 and some odd people that are part of this thing called the Chicago WordPress Meetup group. This is an idea that started with my guest here today and has really blossomed into one of the foremost communities of WordPress users and aficionados and pros of anywhere on the planet. And right here in Chicago, we're bringing great recognition to the work of all bloggers, but WordPress bloggers in particular, through a great awards combination of events and activities that, again, have come out of this great community building activity that has really been started and maintained with my guest here today, Mr. Dante Hamilton. I want to thank you, Dante, for all the work that you've been doing. And as we heard from our previous bloggers, everybody's all pumped up about these awards. And what made you come up with this concept for the International Blog Awards?
Well, I noticed that the Chicago WordPress Meetup group had a ton of people that really deserved a lot of recognition, especially the guys, the early guys like Dan Jallis and Jason and Ray Villar, just a whole lot of qualified people. There was nothing in any kind of way that we could really acknowledge all of the contributions that they gave. So I said, you know what, we have to come up with an awards, we have to showcase these guys, we have to recognize them.
Well, I couldn't agree more. It's really up to, you know, one of the things I hear all the time, even though I'm in the media, is because of being involved with a lot of different aspects of Chicago's technology. I always talk about, well, we don't get coverage, we don't get coverage. No, nobody talks about us. And a lot of this is our own fault. Right. And so I think having an awards is something, you know, somebody came up with the idea of the Oscars. You know, somebody came up, like you say, who knows who votes on the Grammys and these types of things. And so, you know, these are big deals. And, you know, somebody came up with the idea of the Webbies. And so now we're going to have our own awards activities here in Chicago. We're really going to have two sets of awards because one is going to honor people that are in the WordPress arena, and then later on there's going to be something in social media as well.
Right. So essentially WordPress is just a preview of a bigger awards event because WordPress is just one blogging platform. So it's not exactly the blog awards. I mean, because you have Drupal, you have every other kind of CMS. So the WordPress Awards is really just to honor the ones that are in the WordPress community initially, and then the Chicago International Blog Awards, which is part of National Social Media Week, will happen in June of next year.
Now, if somebody's out there watching the show today and they say, well, look, I got a WordPress blog, you know, I'm out there on .com and I want to get some recognition. How do people enter their content and their site into the Blog Awards?
They go to ChicagoBlogAwards.com for the Chicago International Blog Awards, but the main way to get into the WordPress event is to go to the WordPress Meetup group.
Okay.
And that's just meetup.com/mywplife. So everything is in the Meetup group. Every link that you need to actually enter in is right on the homepage.
And again, this is really such a phenomenal community. Again, you've been really the mastermind behind regular programming. Almost every week there's something going on in this community that's been very exciting, from social events to hands-on to one-day workshop. It's really brought a lot of people on, and it's phenomenal to see the kind of talent. What's on store for the WordPress Meetup group here in the next coming months?
Well, in the next few months, actually the whole full calendar year is going to be announced in just a few days. Sunday I'm going to announce the calendar year. The program year is going to start from September and it's going to go all the way through June 31st.
Wow.
So we're going to have at least 2 to 3 free meetups every month. There'll always be a paid advanced type of a class for people that want to take their WordPress to the next level. And then in the course of that, we'll have a couple of different monthly, not monthly, but quarterly expos that will happen in the fall as well as in the spring.
Now, as we've been involved with the development of the Chicago WordPress Meetup group, we've really seen, you know, a complete range of people get involved, from people that come out of, you know, the Tribune Company and Time Magazine and professional journalists, to people that just, we've got some people that say, hey, I like to travel, I like to talk about wine.
That's right.
And they said, hey, out of that they created a blog talking about traveling to wine country in Italy. And so these are people that are passionate about country music, about whatever, and then they stumbled on this tool called WordPress, and it's really taken their passion and their publishing to another level. It's been phenomenal to see just regular people get involved, and again, by having this activity where freely they can come, and whether they're starters or beginners, really find out how to get their hands around this thing and really grow something that they can be very proud of.
Yeah, You know, one of the benefits about the WordPress Meetup group that I like, you know, of course I started at your, you know, suggestion, and it's been a really good suggestion. One of the things is that, you know, I started it because I personally wanted to learn WordPress and learn how to design themes. I never really figured that out. But in the course of that, a lot of people have come through the WordPress Meetup group and have volunteered their time to help others that stumbled upon the same thing that I needed. I needed some assistance, I needed some guidance. So they came down and they contributed themselves, and people have walked out of there saying, you know, this is exactly what I needed. And a lot of that is free.
Well, you know, we have these meetings literally every other week. Downtown Chicago is down at the office port location at 9 West Washington, and again, they're wonderfully laid out and set up. You really make sure everything is first class all the way around. But as we looked at what's going to happen in the fall, tell us what to expect in terms of these. There's going to be some kind of WordPress awards, but also you're going to have a complete resource fair associated with that?
Yeah, you know, I think the WordPress awards is one thing. That's going to happen on a Friday, so it's going to be somewhat of a gala affair. But there's also going to be on Saturday and Sunday a resource fair where people can come and just learn about WordPress. I think it's very important for us to introduce the community to WordPress. People can register for free, and there'll be just like a one-day WordPress workshop going on for 2 days.
And that's pretty phenomenal. And again, these are tools that are, again, open source. These are free tools. It's a place where no matter what you think your budget is, there's a way that you can get into this game. So this is something that nonprofits, for-profits, small businesses, growth businesses. You know, I was talking to one of Chicago's real herald entrepreneurs, Brad Keywell, the other day.
Okay.
And he was saying, you know Groupon? I said, yeah, like who doesn't know Groupon?
Everybody knows.
And he said, Groupon started as a WordPress blog.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He said the first iteration of Groupon was a WordPress blog. And that's how we cut our teeth on getting it right. And once we figured out what was going on, then we stepped back and did all the back end and the custom programming, the Ruby on Rails, all the different stuff so it could scale up to the next level. But he said right now, why wouldn't you start on WordPress if you're starting a website and getting a company off the ground, you're getting your ideas together? Why wouldn't you use WordPress with the plugins and everything else? So again, Chicago is really recognizing the value of this, and one of the great places people learn about it is the WordPress Meetup group. Now, when is the International Blog Awards going to happen? When does that come online?
The Chicago International Blog Awards is going to happen June 20th through June 24th. It's part of what's called National Social Media Week.
Okay.
So the Blog Awards is actually the highlight gala event of this National Social Media Week. And that week is modeled after Advertising Week, also modeled after Internet Week in New York. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole week long. It's just 5 days, not 7 days, of activities that really help to promote and recognize social media, social marketers, as well as bloggers.
Well, this is a phenomenal thing for Chicago. Chicago has been growing in stature. Everybody in social media, new media, digital media, all these different areas. And again, with the success that we've seen of Groupon, of all these different .coms that have really started up. And the difference is that some of these firms have now in their third, fourth, fifth year of success. I was talking. I was hearing a presentation the other night by the guys that came up with the idea of FeedBurner, and they said when FeedBurner first came out, they didn't know how well it was going to do, and then very shortly they had used up most of the server space that was really available to them here in Chicago, and they had to scramble to get extra servers to handle all the growth of FeedBurner and how that was sharing information with really this whole way of syndicating RSS news feeds, and Chicago was really the center point of that technology. So again, you're playing right into the hands of people really recognizing that a lot of these technologies, both on the business side, the marketing side, the entrepreneurial side, the job creating side, is coming out of Chicago. So this is something that all Chicago can get happy about. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for letting us know about these things. And again, how do people who want to get connected with this get involved? Where should they go to get more information?
One thing they should do is just Google WordPress Chicago or Chicago WordPress. You'll see Chicago WordPress Meetup Group in either the #1 or #2 spot on Google on the first page. Click on that, and then you can check all of the 45, 50 meetups that we've had. Check the one-day WordPress workshops out. Check the testimonials, see what people have to say about the group, and then you can join. It's free. It's a meetup group, so you can join for free.
I think people really need to understand that these social media tools, a lot of people talk about Web 2.0, and talk about social media, and people think the only thing that exists on social media is Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
But there are all other kinds of really deep tools that allow you to really build valuable networks. There are tools like LinkedIn. But from a learning standpoint, Meetup is really capturing this whole concept of Web 2.0 but plus lifelong learning, and it's really a professional kind of a peer environment where, again, all kinds of people, you've seen the people we've had on the show today, and there's many, many more beyond that. So if you're interested in WordPress, you're interested in blogging, you're interested in establishing a website, you're a designer, you're a creative, this WordPress Meetup group is a place that welcomes all comers. The doors of the church are always open, and WordPress really is a wonderful tool that's growing in leaps and bounds, and it's wonderful to know that Chicago has the kind of resources represented. Dante, I want to thank you for all the great work you do building this community, and I want to thank you for sticking with Technology Access Television.